Hello everyone, this is part 43 of What If Naruto Figured It All Out, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. In the day before Naruto and his team received the message, the sun rose as always in the village founded by Hashirama. The spring continued to make the flowers bloom as the little birds were learning how to fly. In the Hokage's building, in a room where the windows were adorned with wood sculptured trees, a young blonde-haired boy was sleeping with the Hokage's coat above him. When the sun hit his eyes, he opened them and yawned. Where? Kaoru rubbed his eyes with his hands and looked around him. He was alone. Daddy. The boy noticed the 5 portraits in the wall in front of him. That's. He stared the face of the first and the second Hokage. I know. Those are the faces in the stone. Kaoru stared the third's portrait. Then he stared the fourth's. That's Oh, you're already awake. Kakashi entered with a tray filled with food. Why are you crying, my child? Kaoru looked at him and then down. The Hokage sat next to him. You've fallen asleep while I was working, so I decided to put you to sleep in here, it's warmer. Kaoru cleaned his tears, but stared Minato's portrait once again, followed by his father. Oh, that's Namikaze Minato. Kaoru stared his father, willing to know more. He was my sensei and later, the 4th Hokage. Kakashi sighed, remembering what a good teacher Minato was. He always had a smile on his face and a determination like no other. He was a hero. Hero? Kaoru asked. What's a hero? A hero, Kakashi started, sitting his child in his legs, is someone who does something for the welfare of the others, something neither other, nor even himself could do, but ended up doing, in a breath of a hero. A hero only realizes what he has done after he has finished it. It's hard to explain. Kaoru looked down and then back to his father. Are you a hero? Kaoru asked. Kakashi laughed quietly. I don't know, you tell it. Are the other Hokage heroes? Kaoru asked. Yes, they all fighting to protect our village. Kakashi explained. That's why, they saved hundreds of people. Mommy told me once that the people who in battle go by horse with a beautiful lady to heaven and that they will serve the gods in wars. Kaoru told. Oh, Mommy told you that? Kakashi asked, putting Kaoru's milk in his cereals. Yes, Mommy always tells me lots of things. Kaoru looked again at Minato's portrait, tearing again. That Hokage, he looks a lot like Narutoshippuden. Kakashi closed his eyes and sighed. Yes, they're just like 2 drops of water. Kakashi said, feeling a little guilty. Naruto looks many times to the Hokage's face. He says he wanna be like him. Kaoru told, as Kakashi caressed his hair. Naruto wants to be a Hokage like me. Kakashi said. Kaoru started eating his cereals with milk, watched by his father. And you, Kaoru, what do you wanna be? Kaoru looked at his father's eye and then down. I wanna be a hero. He said. Kakashi smiled. Then you have a long way to go. Come, eat your breakfast. We're going to the Hyuga district. The two left the Hokage's building and went to the district. Kaoru, sit in his father's shoulders, looked behind, staring Minato's face and then lowered his head. The two reached the Hyuga's territory, where they were welcomed by Hinata and Hiashi. Good morning, Hokage-sama. Hinata said, making a bow. Kakashi sent her a tricky smile, making her blush. I heard you and Naruto. Kakashi was about to start speaking about the incident with the Jinchuriki and the Hyuga leader, but her father's look showed he didn't want to hear about that. Hinata hid her red face behind her fan. Do you have cake, Hinata-ne-chan? Kaoru asked. She knew the kid loved eating the cakes made in her house, so she already ordered one for him. Thank you. Kakashi smiled, caressing his child's hair. You seem to love Kaoru a lot, Hinata-sama. Kakashi noticed, making her blush, which was noticed by Hiashi. Why yes, she answered, staring Kaoru who already had his face filled with chocolate. I love him a lot, she answered. Well, you must not have come here to discuss about your children, nay, Hokage-sama. Hiashi asked. Let's go inside. They've entered, while Kaoru stayed outside playing. The kid noticed the red flowers in the garden and went near them. I wonder. Kaoru picked the flower and smelled it. Why do I like this flower? Kaoru looked to the sky and then his eyes got fixed in the Hokage's monument once again. Hero. After the meeting with the Hyuga, Kakashi picked Kaoru and the two went to the stone where the names of the Konoha's shinobis KIA were. See, these are Konoha's heroes. Kakashi said. Kaoru was still too young to know how to read those letters. Maybe if you try hard, one day your name will be here when you s. Kaoru cried. What's wrong? And if none knows what I've done? And if I s and nobody remember what I've done or my last desire? What will I do? Kaoru asked. Kakashi found the question very strange, but answered only with a sigh, caressing his baby's head. Don't get worried with that now. You need to start seeing the things by the bright side. Kakashi said, taking a smile out of his child's face. I love when you smile, you smell better. You're mean. You're mean. You're mean. He cried. You're really mean, Kakashi. A evilly voice said, startling the Hokage and his child. Telling your kid to see the things from the bright side. The two turned back and saw Orochimaru, with his hair flying with the wind. His green snake eyes were staring the Hokage with ill intentions. Kakashi put himself in front of his child. You've become Hokage after all. You see, Tsunade-sama appointed me as her only worthy successor at the time. Kakashi tried to gain some time to see what Orochimaru was planning and also to find a way to take Kaoru out of there. Ah, so that's your baby. Orochimaru stared Kaoru's eyes and recognized them. Those eyes, he whispered. Kakashi noticed and moved his arm to cover Kaoru better. Just like hers, just like Chi's eyes. The eyes of someone who appears to know everything. Chi. So she continues to be alive. Kakashi noticed. Orochimaru smiled again. Yes, if it was for me, that child would already be S, but Sasuke seems to love her a lot. That malice in her eyes is uncomfortable. Orochimaru confessed. But your baby, those eyes. What do you want? Kakashi asked. Orochimaru grinned. The same. Konoha's destruction and that means. Orochimaru jumped and fell right above the Hokage. I'll take you first. Snakes came out from Orochimaru's hands at the same moment more emerged from the ground. All collapsed in a great explosion. Orochimaru noticed something and turned aside, seeing Kakashi and Kaoru, both unspoiled, which anger him a little bit. Seems like old age ends up touching all of us, even those who ran from it. Kakashi said, mocking with him with the intention of defocusing his foe. It seems your speed has increased a lot. Did you win a special bonus speed when you become Hokage? Orochimaru asked. How should I say? Being Hokage doesn't mean staying only in an office dealing with paperwork. Thousands of doors were open to me. Kakashi explained. But you will never put your hands in those doors, once you will never become Hokage. I don't need that crap. Orochimaru spitted. Then you'll never win. Kakashi said and put his hand in Kaoru's head. Daddy is going to attack, you can take that chance to run and call for help. Call for help? Kaoru asked, confused. Yes, tell Konoha Orochimaru is here and that I'm holding him. Go. Kakashi said and started running at his foe, making the little stones in the ground lift while his electrical chakra surrounded the environment. Raiten. Raiju Kiba. His chakra concentrated in a huge amount of electricity that took the shape of a tiger and Orochimaru. The Sannin jumped, but his leg ended up being hit by the jutsu. Humph. You have improved a lot. Orochimaru said and noticed Kaoru running away. But not that much. Kaoru was running to Konoha, when someone caught him by surprise, punching him in his belly. The baby released a scream and cough from his mouth, falling in the ground, unconscious. Kakashi recognized his voice and went after him, but Orochimaru put himself in front of him. A very tall and massive man appeared with Kaoru in his arm. His hair was orange and some marks were running through his body, just like the ones in Sasuke's cursed seal. Kakashi recognized it and noticed that man was with Orochimaru. This is Juugo. Orochimaru presented. He was the one who helped me developing the cursed seal. Kakashi didn't see Juugo's face, once he was very worried with his child. Juugo is a K machine, as you will see. Juugo dropped Kaoru in the ground and jumped at Kakashi, as his arm changed its shape, turning into a hammer. The Hokage noticed the huge strength of the man and decided to run, catching Kaoru, but then he hit against something. What? Kakashi said. Oh, I forgot to mention. You won't escape this area alive. Orochimaru told him. Kakashi kneeled in the ground, trying to wake up his child, but also paying attention to the Sannin. You see, I can control Juugo thanks to this. He showed a sealed tag. And I told him to not let you get away alive. Juugo's eyes revealed his hypnotic state, which worried the Hokage. Kakashi was Kaoru's face tenderly. Kaoru, are you okay? Can you hear me? Kakashi called, but the baby hasn't answered. Kukukaku. Orochimaru laughed. Your child would only survive if he was immortal. Juugo's fists are strong enough to kill any adult person. Maybe your baby's bones are already turned into dust. Kakashi could only look into the kid's expressionless face, leaving him even more worried. Kaoru. He sighed and laid him down in the ground tenderly. I will finish this and ask the medical team to check you. Kakashi got up. You never fight for yourself, do you? Always finding someone else to do your dirty work, that's why you'll never achieve your goals. A different opinion, indeed. Orochimaru said, moving the seal tag. Juugo's body changed once again, giving him 2 more arms. Kakashi took out 2 kunais, filling them with his chakra, right before his opponent charged at him. The man hit Kakashi with his 4 axe-shaped arms, but when they touched Kakashi's kunais, they got hit by the shock, which confused his nerves impulses. Juugo fell in his knees, screaming, but just for a little while, not giving Kakashi the chance of thinking in another move. What to do? Kakashi whispered, checking if Kaoru was alright and safe. Juugo seems to be very strong and to have a rough skin. Maybe if I was a medical nin I could have see his arms connections with my... Wait. Kakashi remembered when Naruto trained his Rasen Shuriken technique. Naruto's wind chakra was so thin it could see the connections between cells, if I do the same with his arms. But, Kakashi thought better. That guy already made 2 more arms, how can I be sure he won't do it again? Kakashi started focusing his chakra on his hand, forming Rasengan as he stared his foe with the eye his friend Obito gave to him. He doesn't have a cursed seal like Sasuke. He is the one changing his own cells without any mark. Kakashi started adding wind chakra into Rasengan. I'm happy I watched over Naruto's training and Minato sensei's too. Sorry to copy your technique, but I have to defeat them. Juugo charged again at Kakashi, but the Hokage moved as fast as lightning and Juugo in the belly. There was an explosion. The 2 were projected meters away from the impact zone and hit the ground with violence. Fool. Orochimaru whispered so he couldn't be heard. Both me and Juugo are a distraction. At this time, Kabuto and the others are attacking Konoha with my snakes. The former Akatsuki looked at the Hokage's monument. The thing you have hit, Kakashi, was an illusion wall that stopped the landscape in a moment. You can't see what's happening in Konoha, even with your Sharingan. I think you can thank Sasuke-kun for that. Kukukaku. Kakashi got up, feeling his right arm burning. He got see while in the attack. I don't have as much chakra as Naruto. He said disappointed with himself. My attack was not even a 10th part of Naruto's. The Hokage saw Juugo getting up, with his body be as if it was a waterfall. Pieces of his F were falling in the ground. He survived. Kakashi was much surprised, also getting up. You need more than that. Orochimaru said. Take his head off, Juugo. The man jumped at Kakashi again, who defended the attack very well, but that also noticed something. What's this? He thought, I can sense a warm spirit coming from this man. Is he so strong, that Orochimaru found a way to control him, just for his own profit? Kakashi started making some seals. Doton. Tsuchiyo Kami no Jutsu. A huge mud wolf came from the ground and bit Juugo, trapping his body in the earth. Kakashi was panting. Performing Rasengan made him waste too much chakra, but it was worthy, Juugo was near his death. The copy ninja has trained a lot ever since he became the Rokudaime Hokage. Now, he had his beloved village upon his shoulders, so he decided to do his best. Also, he has become a father, which motivated him even more. Having a stable village for his child to grow up, for every child to grow up with a smile on his face, in Konoha. The village his sensei is to protect. The village soon had left him before leaving for the battle that has cost her life. He needed to do it, not just for him, but for everybody. I need to finish him now. Kakashi took a kunai from his pocket. Orochimaru recognized its odd shape and the symbols written in it. Yondaim's special kunai, ah. Orochimaru was kind of surprised. I never knew Kakashi had one of those. I thought Jiraiya kept them all. What is he going to do with that? His speed may have increased a lot, but it is not even near Minato's. After all, I never saw someone as fast as Yondaime. Orochimaru remembered when he trained Sasuke. I've always noticed how fast Sasuke-kun was, but even with his awesome speed and Uchiha's incredible long-lasting chakra, he was far from reaching Yondaime's achieves in terms of speed. Kakashi can never be that fast. Sensei's kunai. Kakashi stared the object. One day, you asked me what my biggest dream was. Kakashi closed his eyes and remembered when Minato came to get Naruto, only some minutes before his death. Tell me, Kakashi, what's your dream? That time, I answered you I didn't know. That I've never thought about it, but that, undoubtedly, I wanted to be a great ninja like you. US with a smile in your face. You knew you have saved Konoha and especially your son, Naruto. Kakashi focused his chakra, draining it to the kunai. Sandaime thought it was better for him not knowing he was your children. Phoenix must be alive somewhere. If he knows Naruto is your child, he would come for him. Kakashi jumped at Juugo. Orochimaru moved the seal tag. Raiten. Shurai. Kakashi S the kunai in Juugo's sea, giving him a huge shock that made him scream. Gotcha. Orochimaru smiled. Kakashi noticed that in Juugo's sea was a seal tag that protected his heart, but not just that. A huge red snake came from it and bit the Hokage's shoulder, poisoning him. While he hesitated in pain, Juugo took the kunai out, throwing it away, and grabbed Kakashi by the end. Minato's kunai fell near Kaoru, who opened his eyes, seeing his father in such a difficult situation. Daddy. He whispered his word, releasing some smoke from his mouth as if he was shivering with cold. You'll less here, Kakashi-kun. Orochimaru said. My sweet python is highly noxious. You'll be S in no time and I'll release Juugo in Konoha. He will K everybody in his path. I won't let you. Kakashi stammered. You already did. Orochimaru said and released the wall. Kakashi's eyes opened wide, seeing huge snakes destroying everything. I kept you here, so you couldn't save them. I don't commit the same mistake twice. Sandaime and Yondaime, both new techniques that could save the village in the last moment. If you're far away, you won't be able to do a thing. You'll S. Kakukaku. K him, Juugo. Daddy. Kaoru called. Kakashi's eyes opened wide, just like Orochimaru's. Daddy. Fight, Daddy. Kaoru. Kakashi whispered. You're right. Kakashi thought and grabbed Juugo's arm and focused his chakra. I have to fight. None of them gave up. Kakashi could feel the poison in his body, shutting his organs. I have to save them. The clouds started to cover the sky and the cold made the spines of the living shiver. Snow began to fall, thing that never happened before in Konoha. Orochimaru found it strange, but Kakashi took that chance to K Juugo. Raiten. Ultimate Reikiri. Kakashi shouted. Juugo screamed and his bi got scattered all over the place. Kaoru covered his face with his arms, such as Orochimaru, but the Sannin felt Kakashi's other hand in his arm where his summoning mark was and blew it away. The Reikiri was so strong that its light was seen everywhere in Konoha. Jiraiya recognized and ran to the place where he saw it, giving instruction to a medical team to go with him. The lighting was so strong that illuminated every snowflake, making a beautiful spectacle. Juugo fell S in the ground along with Kakashi, who had completely destroyed Orochimaru's arm. My arm! Orochimaru yelled, sending an angry look at Kakashi, who took Juugo's body off him. How? Only Kimimaro and Sasuke could deal with Juugo, now Kakashi. Kakashi got up, with his body trembling due to the poison. I need to finish him off, otherwise he could ruin my plan even before the poison K him. Daddy. Kaoru ran at Kakashi, happy for seeing him walking. You're the man, Daddy. You have won. Kakashi put his hand in Kaoru's head. You're very strong too. The Hokage said. How's your belly? Kaoru smiled, but in that moment, Kakashi fell in the ground. Daddy. I can't move. Kakashi whispered as his vision got fuzzier. Run. Kaoru. The boy was much scared, crying as he held Yondaime's kunai. Please. Daddy, please, get up. I'm scared. Kaoru cried, seeing Orochimaru taking his sword out of his mouth and getting ready to K both of them. Daddy. Kaoru put himself around Kakashi's head, tearing If you love each other so much, then I'll make you cross the Susanoo River together. Orochimaru said. Say goodbye, Hokage-sama. Orochimaru and there was B all over the place. Kaoru, who had his eyes closed, opened them, seeing the sword in his father's back, who had get up, using his last strength to protect him. Daddy. Orochimaru also coughed some B, as the sound of 1,000 birds was heard in the middle of the light of thunder. Kakashi had hit Orochimaru with another Raikiri, blowing his liver away. Be damned. Kakashi. Orochimaru said, while Kakashi fell on the ground, lifeless. The Sannin held himself thanks to his sword and gazed the young boy with his green snake eyes. I will kill you. Kaoru cried, holding the odd kunai as if it was the only way he could be safe. There was a quick wind and the only thing the sword see was the ground. Kaoru and Kakashi were caught by another Sannin. Jiraiya leaned Kakashi in a tree, where the medical team checked his pulse beat. Daddy. Daddy. Kaoru hiccuped. Jiraiya looked at him, putting his hand in his shoulder. Why is Daddy sleeping? Jiraiya-sama, he is S. A member of the medical team sadly said. Jiraiya closed the Hokage's eyes. You did well, Kakashi. You did very well. Jiraiya said. I'm sure we are all very proud of you. Why is Daddy sleeping? Daddy. Kaoru pulled Jiraiya's clothes, demanding an answer. He will sleep for a long time. There was a huge white light that illuminated the area. Kaoru got hit by something and fell in the ground, releasing some smoke. Jiraiya stared him, perplexed, and then sent an angry look at Orochimaru. How could you hurt him? He was just a kid. Jiraiya spitted. Orochimaru smiled as Kabuto and Karen leaned near him. The former Akatsuki's loss of B was making him S2. He was a wuss and had no one to look over him. I did him a favor. Orochimaru said, as he was checked up by Kabuto. You were very lucky, Orochimaru-sama. If I didn't come here in this moment, you would quickly. The wound Kakashi made you was enough to kill a bear. Kabuto explained. He improved a lot. Yeah, but the cannot improve more, can they? And now I'm alive again. Orochimaru stared Jiraiya, who was sending him an angry look. So, are you the one I'm going to fight up next? We will go for him, Jiraiya-sama. A member of the medical team said, as they jumped at the enemy, but Kabuto and Karen quickly resolved them. Jiraiya was ready to make a jutsu, when he and his opponents noticed something. Karen felt her head aching. What? Orochimaru asked. This chakra, such melody, so intense. Karen said. It's coming from that kid. Haven't you killed him? Orochimaru asked. We did nothing, sir. Kabuto said. Jiraiya saw Kaoru getting up and breathing deeply, releasing some smoke from his mouth. Your skin. Jiraiya could see the kid's skin with black tones, as if it was iron. That's. Orochimaru also recognized it. Minato's. Yondaime Hokage's. Orochimaru whispered. The only part of Kaoru's body that was not covered with black iron was his hair and his eyes. The kid sent a bad look at Orochimaru and his minions and then stared the fallen Hokage tenderly. Kakashi. He said. Thank you. Kaoru looked at the kunai in his hand and the black iron got out of his body. Jiraiya was perplexed. I trained Minato for so many years. Single quote. He thought. And one of the things I remember well was how he, when attacked by something lethal and unavoidable, got his body covered by a black iron that could resist anything. For long I wondered what it was, not even him could tell it, because he also had no idea what that barrier could be. And now, Jiraiya saw Kaoru focusing his chakra. This boy, the same look in the eyes, the same pose, could it be? You will pay, Orochimaru, a hero just for revenge. People like you have their place granted in hell. I don't need a baby to teach me lessons. Orochimaru said, now completely healed, except for his arm. Kaoru smiled. What's with him? Orochimaru wondered. His eyes have changed, and his speech too, he doesn't look like a kid anymore. Comparing with me, you are the baby. Kaoru said and threw Minato's kunai in the air, making some hand seals as it spin. Kunai Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Thousands of odd-shaped kunais filled the sky. Orochimaru and his companions got surprised, such as Jiraiya. Lost soul of the world, may the punishment of the god fall upon you. We need to escape. Orochimaru said, a little scared. Why? He is just a kid. Kabuto was so surprised. Plus, I can feel no intent. No. But his chakra is the biggest I've ever saw. Karen alerted. If he finishes his move, we will all less. Orochimaru said. You will never saw the light of the sun again. Kaoru said and pointed at them. The kunais fell at high speed and they got injured, avoiding only some of them. Could it be? Jiraiya couldn't believe in what he was seeing. That technique. Minato. Is that a kid? Kabuto said astonished, getting up and healing himself. Orochimaru looked at Kaoru again, but this time he wasn't cry, instead of that he smiled. I will finish you off, Orochimaru. Kaoru bit his thumbs and started making hand seals. Hero, whose name lies in with glory, come before me. I ask for your help to defeat my enemy, so together we can bring victory to our people and re-establish peace. Kaoru put his hands in the ground, where runes formed a circle that began glowing. Come, Saint George. A light came from the heaven and before them appeared a person covered with a white coat with a hood. They could only saw his mouth and his nostrils, due to the fact that his hood covered the rest. The person emitted a white light. Kaoru smiled at him. Long time no see, you've grown a lot, Saint George. Kaoru said. The person turned to him and smiled. You seem to have grown smaller, Your Holiness. Saint George said. Saint. Karen was much surprised, noticing his immense chakra that had the sound of a crystalline chorus. Jiraiya looked at him, with his heart beating faster. Sorry, Jiraiya, but I will do the fight from here. Kaoru said and jumped to Saint George's shoulders. Let's K those awful snakes. Saint George opened his 4 white feathered wings with golden reflexes and flew up. Both breathed deep and started making hand seals. Futon. God's breathe technique. Kaoru and Saint George blew all the air they have breathed and released it with wind chakra, see everything on its pass. Once the snakes were very big, they got hit by the attack, being beheaded and see down into tiny pieces. Everybody in Konoha got surprised with the two, who returned near Jiraiya. Impossible, Orochimaru exclaimed. He had the power to K my snakes. He knit his brows. He can't be human, summoning something like that. He grinned. I need to have him from me. Are you okay? Jiraiya asked. Kaoru was about to jump from St. George's back, but fell with his face on the ground. Oh. Are you fine, Holiness? St. George asked. Kaoru got up with tears in his eyes. I made a boo-boo. He said, crying from being beat for a tiny scratch in his knee. Jiraiya never saw anything so weird. A powerful kid, who K thousands of snakes, started crying because of such a small wound. St. George shared the same opinion. It's Bua. Holiness, we have to fight. St. George remembered. Wait, Jiraiya said, finding strange how the saint's voice was so young. Who are you? Why are you fighting for us? Fighting for you. St. George gazed Kaoru. Long have I waited to come back and save the ones I love. That moment has finally come. Kaoru said. Jiraiya stared at him. That's why. Kaoru got up. Let me fight with you. Jiraiya asked. Kaoru smiled. Okay. Kaoru started floating in the air. I will deal with that snake-looking guy. The kid made some seals and 4 white and golden wings appeared in his back. They had feathers in the top and looked like the ones of a demon down. Here I go. Kaoru flew through the air and tried to hit Orochimaru, who avoided his attacks but was very surprised with the kid's speed. Hebi Kami no Jutsu. Snakes came out from Orochimaru's hair and tried to hit Kaoru, but in that moment, St. George appeared and got hit, instead of Kaoru. What? Niece, St. George. Kaoru said and breathed deep. Futon. Ragnarok first winter. Winter of winds. Kaoru blew his airway see Orochimaru's body with the strength of the wind. The kid continued floating in the air. Orochimaru-sama. Karen and Kabuto screamed, but their leader landed safely, despite the thousands of sea all around his body. Futon. Ragnarok second winter. Winter of wolves. Kaoru blew air again, changing his wind chakra form into a wolf pack and attacking his opponent. In that moment, St. George, Jiraiya and Orochimaru noticed something. Holiness. St. George whispered. His movements are strange. Jiraiya said. Kukukaku. Orochimaru laughed, opening his mouth and changing his skin in the disgusting way only he knew how to perform. It seems our holiness is a problem. Kaoru landed in the ground, but fell with his face again. That body, it seems he is not used to it. In many of the movements he did, he was not used to have such small arms and legs. He fell many times and took long to run from my attacks. Saint George was helping Kaoru. The saint he summoned, he appears every time I try to hit Kaoru. He must be really good. Why someone so strong is receiving orders from such a small kid? I got hurt again. Kaoru cried. I have to ask you something. Jiraiya said. Saint George looked at him. Moving so freely in the air, quick wind attacks, the black iron defense, is Kaoru, in some way, is he? Kaoru closed his eyes, feeling sad, such as Saint George. I need to know, he meant and still means a lot to me. Please. Kaoru was about to answer, but Orochimaru sent some kunais at him, although Saint George used his body as a shield, escaping unwounded. What's your plane, Holiness? Saint George asked. Kaoru looked at him and started crying. What? I have none. Kaoru cried, sad. And Kaoru was about to speak, but he felt his leg being Orochimaru's sword had just drilled through his Holiness. Saint George started making hand seals. Futon. Heavy wind wings. The wings of Saint George started moving and caused a huge wind storm, throwing Orochimaru away. Jiraiya took the sword of Kaoru's leg. Are you okay? Jiraiya asked, seeing Kaoru crying and be a lot. I'm so sorry, Holiness. I should have. Saint George was really repented. It hurts. Kaoru cried. Jiraiya see a piece of his coat and tied it around the wound, which was be a lot. Take your Holiness with you and put him in a safety place. Saint George asked. Jiraiya stared at him, grabbing Kaoru. I'll fight Orochimaru. No matter what it happens, you must not let his Holiness faint. Please. Saint George started flying charged at the Sannin. Jiraiya fled with Kaoru on his arms. So, are you my opponent now? Orochimaru asked, with a smile on his face. Humph. Against me, you can only run. Saint George said and started focusing his chakra. I'm still too young to fight like this, the saint thought. My soul it's still not used to this body and he opened his blue sapphire eyes, showing them to his foe and staring the snow. Someone summoned Ragnarok. I can only walk the earth because of the contract I have with his Holiness, and if he faints I'll have to go back to heaven. I'm waiting, Holiness. Orochimaru grinned. Saint George joined his hand and a light came from them, and when he started separating the two, a golden sword appeared. Oh. Orochimaru was surprised. Are you intending to kill me with that? A mere sword can't send me to the other world. Orochimaru also called his weapon. You may be a great warrior, but a warrior whose heart is filled with greed will never win. Saint George said. This sword K dragons. He said, surprising Orochimaru. A mere snake must be very easy, when compared with K the Dragon Queen. A sword that K dragons. Orochimaru whispered. I heard the lineage of Kurogen was the one who controlled the dragons. Can you and that little kid? I will serve his Holiness for eternity. Saint George said, rising his sword and charging it with his chakra. A sword that K dragons. Orochimaru grinned again. I need that power. The power of immortality. Futon. Thor's Dragon Slayer. Saint George's sword shined and he attacked Orochimaru, who defended, but only to see his own sword breaking. I told you. Saint George remembered. This was the sword I used to K the Dragon Queen. You are young, Saint. Orochimaru noticed, getting Saint George unguarded. You must be 17 or 18 years old at least. You and your Holiness have a problem when fighting. Saint George felt something biting his hands and feet, realizing it was Orochimaru's snakes. You're young and those are not your real B. You and the kid committed lots of mistakes while fight. Kaoru for being too small and you for being too big and heavy. Saint George tried to free himself, but Orochimaru was very strong. I will take you and Kaoru. You will serve me and I will take over Kaoru's body. I will not let you. I've promised long ago to protect his Holiness, and it will not be a fool like you to make me break it. I promise before God, Saint George said. You will serve me and my cause. Orochimaru said. Kaoru's bee smelled different. Saint George's eyes opened wide. I remembered that smell and I also recall your legend, Saint. Jiraiya continued running, knowing that Kabuto and Karen may be after them. The Sannin stared Kaoru, seeing he was sweating a lot and so he decided to stop behind a big house. Your head is hot, Jiraiya said. Don't tell me you're poisoned. Jiraiya cleaned the sweat and held Kaoru's hand, as he looked around searching for a medical ninja. GG Jiraiya. Kaoru whispered. Sorry. Don't say that. Jiraiya stared Kaoru's eyes. How can I be mad at someone who smells so sweet? Kaoru smiled. You make me remember Minato and Naruto. Minato especially. Kaoru continued looking at him. You're just like him, you look just like him when Kaoru took him here. Kaoru. Kaoru's eyes opened wide. Kushina. Jiraiya was much surprised. How could Kaoru remember Kushina's name? I remember. Really? Jiraiya smiled with tears in the corner of his eyes. What can you remember of her? Tell me. Kaoru pained again, but Jiraiya held him. She was crying, holding a white flower. Kaoru said. It was true. Jiraiya remembered that Pain put a white flower in her hands when she asked, and that Minato had one just like that when he was buried. What more? Jiraiya asked. Kaoru cried. She is alone, she asked me. No. I promised her. I would bring him back. Kaoru said. Who will you bring back? Jiraiya asked. Back to Orochimaru and St. George. The Sannin was trying to poison him with his snakes, but their teeth break in contact with the Saint's soft blue skin. You're rough, Orochimaru said, sweating a little. Tired. St. George smiled. Humph, mocking with the paw. Orochimaru asked. You are the one who's trapped. Me. St. George said, and Orochimaru felt something surrounding his N. Guess again. A huge soft blue muscled tailed wrapped the Sannin's N, trying to suffocate him. Ho how, Orochimaru whispered, almost without breath. There are more things between heaven and earth than you can possibly imagine. St. George said. Don't mess with me. Orochimaru screamed, and a snake came out his mouth, biting St. George's N. You will S today, Saint. The hood from Kaoru's summoning fell, shocking Orochimaru. Wow, what is this? St. George had 3 sapphires in his forehead covered by his wonderful and small blonde hair. In his head were 2 things that resembled wings and horns at the same time, and his ears were feathered too. U.S. St. George breathed deep and then expelled the air through his body. Futon. Tribute to Skady. Orochimaru's body was seized by the massive amount of air St. George was expelling and ended up freeing him. The huge storm continued and destroyed some of the buildings in Konoha. The Sannin fell in the ground, but during the fall, he spotted Kaoru and Jiraiya. St. George landed in the ground, grabbing Orochimaru with his tail. May the gods be mercy on your soul. The Sannin smiled, alerting St. George. They will be it to Kaoru first. Orochimaru said. Jiraiya was looking to Kaoru, who had just fainted in his arms due to the poison in his body. The arms of the frog hermit were trembling with the child that was not answering the calls that were given to him. St. George saw his body losing opacity, letting Orochimaru get free. Kaoru. Oi! Jiraiya called again. Kaoru was silent. Holiness, sorry. St. George vanished, after one of his tears hit the floor. Orochimaru smiled and get up. Jiraiya noticed him and hugged Kaoru. I won't let you take him. Jiraiya said. Why? Because he may be Minato. Orochimaru asked, startling Jiraiya. I also noticed. I also knew Minato, remember? That's why I want the kid. Be damned you. Orochimaru. Jiraiya was about to take a kunai, but Kaoru's body started glowing and then disappeared. What? Kakukaku. Orochimaru laughed. It was not poison. I made his body teleport himself. He took a scroll out from his pocket and opened it. There appeared written the kanji for cow, pity. He is mine now. But fear not, soon, we will be one. Orochimaru-sama. Kabuto and Karen landed near him. Are you okay? Yes. I found more than I could ever imagine. Konoha amuses me with no end. Orochimaru grinned. We already caused too many damaged. Only a miracle could rebuild Konoha. Tell the others to pull back to the hideout. Everybody vanished, leaving the leaves in their highly damaged village, and now, without a leader. Kaoru. Jiraiya bind his hand. Were you? His words were shut down by the noise of the fire that consumed the village, along with the destroyed buildings. Orochimaru reached his hideout, along with his minions. Kabuto started looking over his master's wounds. Your arm is lost, along with your summoning tattoo. You need to take Sasuke's body if you want your snakes back. Kabuto alerted, but found strange the way Orochimaru smiled. With this, he opened the scroll and freed Kaoru, who fell in the ground. I won't need any snake. Orochimaru-sama. She appeared and grabbed the Sannin's clothes. Daddy is very sick. He vomited. He has a fever. He can't walk. Please, 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 go check him. Orochimaru stared her eyes. I wonder if you also have that power. Orochimaru thought, caressing Chi's face. Daddy, please go and check Daddy. Please. Kabuto-san. Chi begged. What's wrong with Sasuke? Sugetsu asked, with his clothes and sword filled with B. Did he Itachi? Karen asked. Yes. Chi answered. Please, check on Daddy. Orochimaru smiled again. Your father has no more utility for me. And if he is sick, then let him be and by that sickness. I will take and study his Sharingan. Orochimaru said, making Chi's eyes opened wide, very scared. Worry not. You will be safe, because I'm sure you have a power like that little boy. Little boy. Chi looked aside and saw Kaoru in the ground. Look over his leg, Kabuto, and put him in a prison from where he cannot perform any jutsu. Tomorrow, I will extract his soul from his body and seal it, so. I will use the powers of that soul and take over that body, that wonderful body. Tears appeared in Chi's eyes and she ran back at Sasuke. In his bedroom, Sasuke was now in a bed, a lot from the wounds none knew how to heal. His fever became worse and Chi was changing the towel in his forehead. Daddy, she cried, but Sasuke was too ill to answer, breathing hardly and paining. I don't want to see you like that. Chi's belly started making some noises and she left to pick up some food. On her way back, she heard some cries and noticed Kaoru trapped in a cage. She went near him, who looked at her with his tearful eyes. Are you hungry? She asked and gave Kaoru some rice cakes. He smiled and ate them. What's your name? Kaoru. I'm Chi. Why are you crying? She asked. Kaoru looked down. My father's and I don't know where I am. Kaoru said. I wanna go home. I miss Daddy. I miss Mommy. He cried again. Mommy. Naruni-chan. My daddy is sick and none wants to help him, not even Dirty Pig Karen. She insulted. I need to go, but I will be back. Why? Because you smell sweet. She said. Without knowing why, Kaoru didn't feel insulted. Bye. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.